In today's video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to can applesauce. This recipe uses only 4 ingredients, including the apples. It is super easy to make, and I'm very excited to show you how I made it. In a previous video, I showed you how I made apple pies with these same exact apples. I actually processed and baked with these apples all in the same day, which I highly recommend if you are able to. That way I was able to get everything out once. I was able to get my peeler out, my core out, all the pots and pans, everything got done in the same day, which was really nice. Because for me, my apple pie filling and my applesauce recipes are very similar. They're just a little bit different. So it was just really easy and really nice to do it all at the same time rather than 2 individual times. I highly recommend, but for the sake of not making a super long video, I went ahead and split this up. So today we are just canning the applesauce. If you're interested in seeing how I made the pies, that was a previous video. I will link it below, and let's get started. The recipe I am using is in this ball canning book. It is on page 180 and it is for applesauce. The only ingredients are apples, water, sugar, lemon juice, and any spices. I am adding spices and I am going to make it chunky, so I will show you how. The first thing I did was rinse off all of the apples. I just used water and I just went around and checked for any bad spots, anything that needed cut off. And then once they were rinsed, they were ready to get peeled. I used this Johnny apple peeler to peel all the apples. It made it so insanely easy to peel. I highly recommend, and I will put a link in the description for this. With this apple peeler, you can actually set it to peel, core, and slice the apples all at the same step. Right here, I am just peeling it because I'm also making apple pies with this. So I didn't want to slice them, and the core that my husband is using, which you'll see in the background, he's making the apple slices for the pies. So anyways, this is how we did it for making the applesauce. But if I was just making applesauce, I would just go ahead and use the slicer and the core portion of this just to make it quicker and easier and get it all done in one step. Now it is time to cook the apples. I'm just going to put them on a medium heat and add just a little bit of water, just enough to keep them from sticking on the bottom, just like the recipe says. And I did have to make it in 2 pots just because I didn't have one pot that was big enough for all of the applesauce.
Now I'm going to add the lemon juice. It calls for 4 tablespoons. And this is a ½ tablespoon. So I'm going to do 8 of these total. I will do 4 in here and 4 in there, just to keep it simple. All right, and then next I'm going to also add the sugar. It says you can add up to 3 cups of sugar, and that it is optional. Since I don't want too much sugar in this, because I do plan on giving a majority of it to my kids, and Lord knows they don't need any extra sugar, I am going to start with 1 cup here, and I'm just going to kind of spoon it over and just see what seems like a good amount. I hate to add any, but I also want it to taste good. That was about ½ a cup in there. I will put the rest in there. And I think that is good. That's all I'm going to add. And if we go to eat it, and you know, I can taste test it too now and see how it is. And I was going to say that you know, when we go to eat it, if I feel like it needs more, we can always add more later. So that's all the more I'm going to add for now. I'm going to add the spices to the applesauce. It says you can add up to 4 teaspoons of spices that you choose, such as allspice, nutmeg, cinnamon. So I'm going to add, I have a ½ spoon here, a ½ teaspoon. I'm going to add probably 3 teaspoons of cinnamon and maybe a heaping ½ teaspoon of allspice. I feel like would be good. So that's 1 teaspoon. Two teaspoons of cinnamon. Do another ½ in there. ½ in there, so that would be 3 total. And then we will do ½ a teaspoon of allspice, and I will just split that between the 2 pots. Now that I got those added in, I'll give them a good stir, and I'll bring you over here to see what they look like. So the recipe says once they start to cook down a little bit, to put them in a food processor or a blender to help pulverize them and get everything more to like an applesauce texture. I don't feel like cleaning any of those things right now, so I'm going to use this, and I'm just going to mash them like they are potatoes, and it's going to work perfectly, especially because I want a chunkier applesauce. That is what I like to eat, and so I'm just going to use that, and it's working beautifully. So we're just gonna do that, and this would probably be a little bit easier if I let them cook down a little bit more, and I can certainly repeat this, you know, if I want it less chunky, but that'll be that'll give us a good, it's going to cook down a lot quicker now that I did that. So I'm just going to leave it kind of how it is for now, and then maybe in the next like 10 minutes or so, once I stir it and look at it again, I may repeat it if I decide I want it to be even less chunkier. All right, we are finally ready to start canning our applesauce. I have this on a low heat, so it is very hot still. We have our water bath canner here. It's on a low heat. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it up to like a medium kind of heat to keep that water warm. Not boiling yet, but warm, so that it'll be easier to boil once all the jars are in. And all of my jars are in the dishwasher. It just finished its cycle not too long ago, so they're going to be nice and hot and toasty and ready to can. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one. And I am going to try to mostly can half pint, or not half pint, but pint jars. And we will just use our ladle here to fill up the jars. The recipe says to leave a ½ inch of head space. That's a little bit more than ½ inch, so I'm going to scoop some of that out. And then we will do this. This is just to help remove any air bubbles. Next, we will wipe the rim. I like to wipe twice just to ensure that it is very clean. Put the lid on, screw that on, and we'll put it in our canner. I am using my pressure canner as a water bath canner today. My water bath canner would not be big enough to fit all of this in it. I would kind of need to be able to stack them, I think. And since it's not tall enough to do that, the pressure canner will allow me to get all of this done at once. So we aren't going to pressure can it, we're just going to use it as a water bath canner. We ended up getting 9 pints, or not 9, 10 pints. I'm going to fill this with water until they are fully covered by about 1 inch. This is hot water. And I have the heat turned up on this to get it up to boiling. Once we see the water start to boil, we will start a timer for 20 minutes, and then they will be done. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try some of this applesauce that is left in the pan. I have just a small bowl left from canning. That is so good. I wish I could share it with you. That is so perfect, so delicious, so fresh, so much better than store-bought, so much better than store-bought. That is so good, you guys. And it was so easy too. It was very foolproof. So good.
Now that the applesauce has been boiling for 20 minutes, we are ready to take them out of the canner. So I went ahead and turned the heat off. I am putting a towel on the countertop just to help prevent any kind of thermal shock from a cold countertop with a hot jar. It's just something you want to be mindful of. And I'm just going to use these tongs to take them out of the canner and set them on the towel. After that, I will let them sit here for a full 24 hours. After 24 hours, I will check the seals, make sure that they all sealed properly. I will remove the bands and set them in storage. And that is going to be it, you guys. That's literally how easy it was to can this applesauce. I am so excited. I can't wait to enjoy this all winter long and even in the spring until next harvest season. That is going to be it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.